May I proceed, Judge?
You may.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Pham.
And could you spell that for the court reporter, please?
Tuanpham.
And try to speak up a little bit.
Yes, sir.
And how are you employed, sir?
I'm an investigator at the Harris County District Attorney's Office.
And where are you currently assigned?
Digital Forensics Unit.
How long have you been an investigator with the DA's office?
Approximately 8 years.
And what do you do over at where you're assigned currently at the DA's office in your division?
Mainly we do digital forensics.
And what is digital forensics?
That's basically where we take electronic devices, for example, cell phones, tablets, computers, and we download all the contents of it, put it into a readable format for presentation to the court.
And do you recall how it is that you became involved in this investigation?
Yes, sir, I do.
Could you tell us about that?
Two phones were, actually several devices were brought to us, and they were asked for them to be downloaded and all the contents given out into a report.
And is it common for you to download a device or devices, not just in this case, but in any case, pursuant to a signed search warrant?
Yes, sir.
And in this case, do you recall whether or not there was a signed search warrant for the two phones that we'll be talking about today?
Yes, sir, there was.
And could you tell us a little bit about what the process is like? When you said download the contents of, how exactly does that work?
We have a device which is on our computer. It's a universal forensic extraction device where it has different cell phone models. We select the according model, we attach the device to our computer, and then we download that into either a PDF format or HTML report at the end.
And this report that is put out at the end, does that organize the content that's pulled from the phone in any sort of order?
Yes, sir, it does.
And how does it organize it?
For example, it can do text messages in one category, it can do pictures in another category, videos, different databases, different applications as well.
Let me ask you before I ask you about the actual contents of this exhibit. On certain devices, is it possible in your report to have the same type of messages categorized in two different ways?
Yes, sir.
And what I mean by that is, say for instance, I have what we call an iMessage versus what's called a short message service message, which is SMS. How would those show up differently in the report?
For an iMessage, it would be categorized in one category, and for SMS, it would be a separate category for that.
Okay. And so what we're looking at now, can you tell which one of those two that this represents?
I believe those are iMessages.
Okay. And just let me zoom in here a little bit. I know it may be difficult to see, but could you tell us the names of the parties that you see involved in the conversations that are represented by this string of messages?
The first one is Dr. Leon Jacob, and the second one is Megan H.
Now, were you specifically asked to search for messages concerning those two parties?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, 42 is represented down here below. These would be what you referred to before as the SMS type messages, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And does it appear to be between the same parties?
Yes, sir, it does.
Dr. Leon Jacob right there and Megan H right here.
Correct.
Taking your attention back to State's Exhibit 41, I'm going to start on the second page here. This date and time here at the top, can you make out what that is? Let me zoom in a little bit for you. And is it up on your screen next to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you make out that date and time?
It's January 13th, 2017 at 10:28 a.m.
Okay, and what does UTC -6 mean?
So universal time code is just that 0, and then the offset is for whatever time zone that you're in. So the -6 is for our time zone.
It's like Greenwich Mean Time.
Correct.
So January 13th, 10:28 a.m., correct?
Yes, sir.
And as we go down the page here, and we see these messages, I'm going to flip over to the next page and go to the bottom of this page. What time do we have here and what day?
January 13th of 2017 at 3:25 p.m.
So this is the same day, but 5 hours later.
Correct.
I'm going to the next page. And how many, just give me an estimate if you can, how many messages do you think are contained on this page? You'd say 10, 12?
I'd say about that.
I'm going to go past that page, now to the following page, and in the middle of this page, can you tell me what the time and date is on that?
January 13th of 2017 at 7:30 p.m.
So we're now 2.5 full pages later, and we're still on the same date.
Correct.
Now, State's Exhibit number 43. Were you also asked to search and compile a list of times that a specific name was entered into some sort of web search engine from that phone, the iPhone?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. And what name were you searching for?
Megan Veracos.
This is going to be page number 3 of State's 43 I'm showing you here. This number on the left-hand side, is that a chronological number of the number of times you found that name searched?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as we go down the page, we see 9, 10, 11, 12, and it will continue on. How many times you saw that name searched on his phone in a given period of time?
That is correct.
Do you recall the time frame you were looking at in regards to how many times that name was searched?
I believe it was January 13th was the starting of 2017, and I believe it was February 13th.
Could it have been March yet? Do you know?
March, I'm sorry.
Now, what kind of searches are represented on here? And what I mean by that is, does this mean they're searched on a specific website? They're just generally searched through Google? What's going to be accounted for in this list?
Mainly Google searches and other search engines that were used, such as iPhones use Safari. So when you use that web search to type in a name, it uses different web crawlers to search.
Okay. So, for instance, down here on page 5, and I believe you can't put it up here to show you. So page 5 down here at the bottom, this entry is concerning the website LinkedIn.
Correct.
And the name search is Megan Veracos.
That is correct.
Okay, so when you said other search engines, you're talking about other sites that might have personal information on like somebody's name. So if somebody searched somebody on Facebook or LinkedIn or White Pages or any search engine like that, it would be represented in here.
Yes, sir.
Now, some of these, if you look at the time and date on it, to be fair, there's some redundancies, correct? I mean, there are, even though it's numbered chronologically, these times and dates are so close together that it appears it's part of the same search.
That is correct.
And would that be the best way to determine whether or not that's part of the same search, is looking at the time and date of search?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So despite the fact that there are some redundancies, I'm going to go to the last page here. And what is the total number that you found of the number of times her name was searched in that time period you described?
277.
When you were asked to search through the phone for specific information that may be relevant to this investigation and this case and the prosecution thereof, did you find anything else that you thought might be relevant?
Yes, sir, I did.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 46 and direct you to the bottom here. And tell us what portion of this you thought may be relevant to this investigation.
There were searches such as tools for hackers, where it would show like how you would find a car.
For instance, at the bottom of this page here, it says, find a car via LoJack.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of an unusual search, correct?
Correct.
Deep web links. What's the deep web?
Deep web is similar to like the dark web, where you would have other people's information that was possibly stolen and uploaded to the dark web.
Further on up, line item 1751, specifically here we see dark web find a car, correct?
Correct.
And then right around the same time, just a little bit before that search, there's a search here, or there's some line items representing the search for Holiday Inn downtown Houston.
Correct.
Do you have any personal knowledge of where Megan worked?
I believe she worked at the Holiday Inn.
State's Exhibit number 45 is what I'm publishing now. Would these be representative of the SMS type messages?
Yes, sir, they are.
And what is the name you see here starting about line 53 as the recipient of messages coming from the defendant's phone?
Laura Thurlow?
Next page, starting at the top. I'll just scroll down.
Laura Thurlow? Brian Bruckner?
And then towards the bottom.
Mika Laura Thurlow?
Several messages to Laura Thurlow.
Yes, sir.
And once you're done processing the contents of these devices, what do you do with that report?
I submit a copy to the original case agent and the whatever ADA is working on the case.
And then if necessary or if you're requested, you do specific searches like you were asked for in this case.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
I'll pass it to Inspector.
Defense, please.
Yes, Ron, thank you. Good afternoon. Is it Detective?
Investigator?
Investigator Pham?
Yes, sir.
Just real briefly, you mentioned earlier about this dark web that doesn't just only apply to people's information, does it?
No, sir.
There's a lot of other things on there.
Yes, sir.
And it's not illegal to access the dark web, is it?
No, sir.
And also, it's not illegal to search for somebody on the internet, is it?
No, sir.
Nor is it illegal to text somebody and send them a message.
No, sir.
Now, you testified earlier today that you were asked to locate specific information, correct?
Correct.
Did you only look for that information, or would you broaden your scope to other areas?
I just looked for that information.
Just that information. And it's only what was told would be relevant to you from the state, is that correct?
There's an argument of the judge.
Appreciate it.
HR. You only thought what was relevant because the state would say it was relevant. Is that a fair assessment? You were only looking for that which the state told you to look for?
Correct.
And they specifically told you what to go and find?
As far as the name searches?
As far as the data search that you conducted?
Yes, sir.
During your search, would you go through and analyze any of the information on there?
As far as reading it?
Yeah, as far as reading like the searches, what web browser he was using?
Yes, sir.
That information.
Yes, sir.
And how about the text message as well? Would you go through and read the messages?
Not every single one of them, no, sir.
But you would read some of them.
Yes, sir.
Would you eliminate anything off of your list if you felt that it wasn't relevant?
No, sir, I did not.
So you would give over everything that you found.
Correct.
But you weren't looking for everything, just what you were told to look for?
Correct.
What is Holiday Inn?
A hotel
And what do people use the hotel for?
to sleep in?
So Leon searching for the Holiday Inn could be him just trying to find a hotel to go stay in for the night.
It is possible.
Now, on a cell phone, you have a web browser that can have multiple tabs open. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You can have multiple things being searched for at a time. Is that also correct?
That is also correct.
Now, if you close out the web browser, those tabs can remain open. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, they can.
And anytime you would access that web browser back again, all of those tabs would be refreshed. Is that not correct?
That is possible.
So then a brand new search would be run, whether or not he was actually searching for something.
Correct.
So I have it on my cell phone, let's say I have a tab open for Justin Bieber. I close it out, I open my phone back up to go to YouTube. It's automatically going to run that search again to refresh that web browser for Justin Bieber. Is that not correct?
I don't believe it works like that. If you were to do a Google search on Justin Bieber and you close the web browser and then you open up YouTube, I don't think it will search for you.
I wouldn't be closing that tab. I'll be opening up a new tab. Let's say that.
Oh, I see what
And
you're
then
saying.
The process will go idle. The web browser will still be open, but it's idle, so it's in the background.
Would it continuously search while you're off the tab is what you're asking?
No, I'm asking then if I go back and click again on my phone to access my web browser, all of the open tabs would then be refreshed, would it not?
That I don't know, without testing.
I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Judge.
You're subject to recall, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony.